This is a 2004 4Runner, and I have the loose or wobble shift symptom. And so what I'm experimenting with is this little housing. You can see inside of that hole a white crack, and that housing cracked. And inside of that housing goes this spring, which looks like it's brass, and then after the spring goes this pin. This pin sticks up out of that housing, and that pin is what slides around underneath this cover to hold the gear shifter steady so it doesn't wobble. But with that housing breaking, it allows the pin to go sideways rather than just up or down, and then the pin pops out. And I've had it happen twice. I tried just to add more grease and see if that would solve it, but that didn't solve the problem, adding just white grease. So I decided I would use JB Quick Weld. It says it's like 3,000 pound something or other. That one right there, combined them. You have 6 minutes after you combine them before it gets too hard to do anything with. And it sets in 6 minutes. I mixed it in the house and then used toothpicks after about 2 minutes, and I would get some on the toothpick and then carefully apply the JB weld around the outside of that housing. And so then it's a 4 to 6 hour cure time, and then it says like 15 hours before I should try to use it, but 24 hours is really what I'm gonna do to see if this will make it so that the pin will stay in the housing. So we'll see. So the JB weld by itself didn't work. So then what I tried next is I bought this spring at the hardware store. It's a True Value hardware store, and decided to, this is the brass spring that was sitting below that pin in the housing for the pin, but I decided the pin was sitting up too high. So what I did is I took that spring from the hardware store, and the spring from the hardware store, the spacing between the coils is slightly larger, so it compresses a little easier, which means it won't hold its spring as well over time. But I cut this spring to be just a little bit shorter than the one from the hardware store. Try to put them on my pants here so you can see that there's just a little bit shorter is what I did, and that allows the pin to sit down in farther after I had JB welded the housing around the edge. And I tested it, and that seems to be working now. I can shift easier, and I actually had put this back on and tested it out, and it let me shift in all the positions. It wasn't wobbly. It would stay in drive 3, which it won't do without the pin. And so we'll see how long it lasts. Anyway, thought I'd share that. And here's just a video showing the gear selector assembly reassembled with that shorter spring under the pin, and it'll show that now. What I couldn't do without the pin in place is I couldn't shift into drive 3 and have it stay. I had to hold it over to drive 3 with my hand. But the pin, even though it's not popping up as high, it's lower, so it'll stay in the housing. It's still enough that it's holding the selector in drive 3, and then I have to manually push it over. I have to push pretty good to get it over there, and it shifts into the other positions really well. So a shorter pin, a shorter spring was what I did, and I didn't want to cut the original spring just in case if I cut this one too short and it didn't work. But you know, you could cut this one and use it instead of buying a different spring at the hardware store.